Hey everybody, welcome to week 7's discussion board. So for this week, we were tasked with kind of creating like a grant proposal of sorts, or at least getting the background information of what we would need for a grant proposal. So for the one I kind of came up with, I had the idea of preserving like Native American voices. And so it would be an oral based project of just general history preservation. Of the different things that we had as options to kind of look into, I found two that I really liked. The Virginia Humanities regular grant would serve my purpose well, and I also thought that the National Park Service's Historic Preservation Fund, they had a specific tribal heritage grant that was an option. I found that interesting. I did not decide to do or go with, I wouldn't go with this one per se, just because this grants or this fund seems to be a little more to creating or assisting Native American tribes in like more substantial ways. So I went with the Virginia Humanities regular grant for my idea. So the things that they require, the main thing is going to be a letter of intent. And with these, from what I found, and you'll see it in my sources, I actually found a like how to write an LOI that was pretty useful. Again, I've done these before, and I've done some of this kind of work. So when you're writing an LOI, you definitely don't want to have what I would call fluff, which is basically like you don't want to have to talk about, like, you don't need to tell these people that you're passionate about this project. Like, they know you're asking for a grant. You don't have to go into detail on the budgeting, because what you'll do is you'll put in a budget form which will have all that information, so you don't need to talk about money at all. Basically, the LOI is a way for you to give the bare bones of like what your grant is, what you're requesting the grant for, what you want to do with that money, and then how it will impact the, whatever community you're attempting to impact. So in this case, it would be, the historical community. The deadline for this year's normal grants with Virginia Humanities, they have two different ones. One would be in the winter, and I'm looking at the summer one, so that would be July 31st. The decision would be made on September 8th, and you could be awarded anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. For my specific project that I was putting together, I would say my budget would probably be between $15,000 and $20,000, because I would attempt to be bringing in Native Americans from across the U.S. and, travel and, housing expensive can be a little more. So there's that. I did also find that you could actually make a second grant request in the next cycle. So you could potentially get up to $40,000 total for one single project if you were really persuasive and able to perhaps show like how something was working. You cannot go for a third, though. That's where they cap it. You also cannot ask for multiple grants for the same project. You're going to have to stick to one. You can do multiple grants for multiple projects, but just not for the same. You'd also have to put in something called a 501c3 tax form, which is basically just saying you're a nonprofit organization, and that you're not going to attempt to pay the people you're bringing in or pay yourself for your time. And then one of the big things that I think is really funny is you have to be on time with your grant. You'd be surprised how many people get really like shocked by the fact that they had their grant refused, and then when you find out they just turned it in after the actual due date, it's really funny. So that's kind of going on with that. Overall, I think this would be a very beneficial kind of project, and I think it could actually be a, good grant. I would love to maybe put something in like that, but we shall see. But anyway, thank you. Have a great week, and I'll see y'all for the last one next week. Bye.